It's like, and you suck at your job if you have to do it. So this makes sense. This is certainly a winning strategy, right, Peter?
Absolutely. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Real Agile or BS. I'm Peter Saddington with my great colleague, Bob Hartman from Agile for All. We love answering all of your frequently asked questions around Scrum and Agile and more. And today's topic is an interesting one. It's changing the current sprint backlog mid-sprint. Is this real Agile or is this BS? Bob, I have opinions. I have strong opinions on this idea. So I'm going to let you take the first crack at it, mostly because I have a client that I'm dealing with this right now, but radical transparency, it is what it is. So Bob, real Agile or BS, changing the sprint backlog mid-sprint. What are your thoughts?
Well, Peter, I think I'm going to surprise you. I think it can be real Agile. I think that the Scrum Guide says you're supposed to modify the sprint backlog as necessary to meet your sprint goal. So at times that might mean changing the sprint backlog. The question is, what was the sprint goal? And too often teams have a sprint goal of finish all the stories, which is fine if you don't have a cohesive theme, but not so fine when you're just constantly switching things in and out. You're no longer really doing Scrum. You're just doing, I don't even know what you would call that, some sort of weird Kanban with things blocked and things unblocked, trying to get stuff done by the end of a sprint. I guess kind of weird in that situation, but I think if you're doing it with the proper intention of saying, let's continue towards our sprint goal, and this item is more important than that item because we've realized that during the sprint or something during the sprint changes, that's fine to me. It's also fine if we decide this item is just physically impossible. We thought we could do it and we can't, so let's put something else in. I'm fine with that change. But I understand you're in a little bit different situation from that. So let's hear yours and see if we think that one's real Agile or BS.
Well, I think you actually pinpointed, and this is what I wanted to kind of create a concentric circle around of sorts, is the sprint goal, right? And the Scrum Guide says that we're going to spend some time as an entire team to make sure that we have a shared understanding, we have shared alignment, and we know, and we've broken the stories down and we've established a sprint goal. We spent the time and diligence and effort to do that. And once we've substantiated that sprint goal, it needs to be radiated to the rest of the organization that this is what we're going to be delivering in these 2 weeks. That right there, for me, is the be all end all. Have we spent the time to create the sprint goal? If so, and we have organizational alignment to that, then at the end of the day, the management should let the team focus and deliver that stuff. Now, will there always be this idea in development called emergent discovery and emergent design? Absolutely. We emergently figure out that we didn't know something, or we emergently figure out that something needs to change. Yes, 100% this is Agile. We didn't know about it. We didn't think about it. It emerged. We need to add a task, and we might need to change something to achieve the sprint goal. Where this becomes tension and where there comes conflict, especially with the clients that I'm working with right now, is when they say, hey, we need a new thing that is outside of the sprint goal, and it needs to come into this sprint, and everything that you guys spent 2 hours sprint planning and all that stuff that we got aligned on, it all has to change right now. That is not real Agile, especially if we don't have those conversations with the context of negotiation in mind, right? If we have cultures where it's directive or it's top down command and control, it's like, hey, I know you guys just spent 2 hours sprint planning this, but it's 3:30 on a Thursday and I need you to change this. That's not real Agile. That's not bringing the team in. That's not having a collaborative environment, and it's certainly being more command and control than anything. And the question that I always raise, and I think this is important for everyone out there that's listening, the question I always raise is, sure, you're the boss. You can make changes if you want. However, are you okay with the implications and ramifications of this change? Because maybe, just maybe, if you inject this change in on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, not that I'm projecting a real scenario or anything like that, you might not get everything else you wanted. Are you okay with that compromise? And that is the type of conversation that we need to have if any type of change happens during a sprint. So to back it up, I know I'm speaking from abject experience right now. Is it real Agile or BS to change stuff mid-sprint? It is completely real Agile for me, as long as it still connects to the sprint goal. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, and Peter, I think it's interesting because I always try to say stuff to people in a way that's provocative and makes them think, but reflects the real situation. So when they're making this change late in the sprint or whenever it is, 3:30 on a Thursday, the thing I would point out to them is, wow, your people are going to think you suck so bad at your job, you can't figure out what they should do for 2 weeks. That's a real motivator.
Mm.
Right. I mean, that's really what they're saying is we suck at knowing our clients and our users so badly that we can't commit to something for 2 weeks. That to me is a real, it's not just bad agile.
I like
It's
that.
bad for morale. It's bad for actually getting things done. It makes people switch back and forth between tasks. So you have the task switching overhead. Makes people feel bad about the stuff that they're working on. And so this is going to go a little bit deep here for a minute because
I
it's
feel
something
like
I
you need
really
to just
cover in my
counsel me
classes a
right
lot.
now. Just counsel me.
But out here in Denver, where I am, we have a company called the Mountain States Employers Council, and they do surveys of the workforce every year and sell the data to employers so they understand what's going on in the Rocky Mountain region. And one of the things they do every year is a survey on job satisfaction. And they say, what does or would make you more satisfied with your job? The number 2 answer every year is salary and benefits. What's more important to people? Taking pride in their work.
Exactly.
When you have them flip-flopping all over the place, they have no chance to take pride in their work because they're just constantly chasing their tails. So you end up with a demotivated workforce, and you could be working on the greatest thing since sliced bread, which I'm sure this client you're working with is, but when the workers aren't engaged, you're never going to get there.
Oh.
So it's a self-defeating prophecy, and it just spirals people down instead of spiraling people up. So it's bad agile, it's bad for engagement, it's bad for the company. It's like, and you suck at your job if you have to do it. So this makes sense. This is certainly a winning strategy, right, Peter?
Absolutely. So out of all the counsel, I'm probably not going to say that the client sucks, but I'm with I'm with you 100%. Actually, that's one of the things that we ended up invariably talking about is that because of this type of injection of change that comes up on high, that hits you randomly on a Thursday, it creates a natural response from the development team that, hey, maybe our planning isn't really maybe it's not worth spending the 2 hours committing to this. Maybe I don't need to go and take the time to due diligence to really sufficiently break down these stories. Cause I mean, someone's going to come in and change it anyway. So why even bother? And so this is the type of morale and this is the type of culture that I want to ensure doesn't get created with this type of injections of change. And I think it's one of those things where I know you've experienced this as well, Bob, where, once in a blue moon, it is what it is, right? Things have to change, especially if it's a production issue. If it's a production issue and it's affecting clients and your customers, then obviously you have to, change everything up and fix that production issue, that operational downtime. We all get that. But if it becomes a consistent behavior pattern, then it completely tanks, in my opinion, the overall culture of the organization and the morale of the development team. And so this is something that I think many of our viewers out there who are in leadership positions or management positions, this is something that you kind of have to check yourself and say, hey, do I really need this? Should I have a conversation before I become directive or command and controlling? Should I talk to the Scrum Master? That's why they're there. Should I work with the product owner who's over the product backlog? That's why they're there. And so these are the things that we, Bob and I, have experienced many times through our lives and with clients. And we want to make sure that our communication and our conversations around these help avail you guys, listeners, with those traps and those tropes to make sure that, hey, this is something that we want to ensure that the team is allowed to focus, deliver great value, and not ruin the process as we go through it. So I'm with you, Bob. Is it real agile to change things during the sprint? If they fall under emergent design and discovery, I'm 100% with you. But if it's something outside, there's a lot of damage that you can create by injecting that change and completely changing everything that the development team's doing. I'll leave you with the final word, Bob.
Well, I think, Peter, one of the things we have to think about is the word commitment. And the Scrum Guide changed it to forecast for a reason, because this kind of thing was happening. I think if we're going to use the word commitment, then the commitment has to be two-way. We're going to commit to trying to do these things, and you're going to commit to helping us make sure we get these things done. So now you're breaking your commitment to us. Management is breaking the commitment to the team when things are changing so radically. So is it a group commitment, or is it a development team commitment? Because if it's a group commitment, then let's make it be a true commitment for the group that we're going to get this done and you're going to support us in doing that. That way we can all buy in that we're on the same team. Because right now, with this crazy situation you're describing, I can't imagine how it doesn't feel like it's us versus them. And that just isn't healthy.
And that shows the experience to Bob right there. I mean, that's exactly what's emerging. It feels like an us versus them. And here's me as the Agile coach trying to be objective between the multiple parties and trying to be the great facilitator and helping both try to understand the ramifications and implications of these things and why discipline to Scrum has a lot of value. So there's a lot that we've unpacked here, everyone out there. Make sure that you let us know your thoughts. Leave a comment below, smash the like button. Also, don't forget that we have a brand new Agile community that you can find at agileforall.com. Check it out. We're always engaging, and we have lots of new people joining us every week from our classes and our clients as well. So we'd love to see you guys there. And I guess we're done for today, and we'll see you guys on the flip side.